You are Locked On 76ers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to this edition of Locked On 76ers Postcast following the Sixers 106-102 win over the lowly Utah Jazz. I'm going to use the line, and this goes back to my childhood. It was Tommy Lee Jones in Fugitive. He plays the U.S. Marshal. I didn't kill my wife. I don't care. One of my favorite lines ever in movie history, okay? The Sixers beat the Jazz. I don't care that it was the Jazz that they beat. I know the Jazz had 18 wins coming into tonight. They leave this game with 18 wins still. I know the Jazz led for far too much of a percentage for my liking. Actually, 33% of this game, the Jazz were in the lead. 7% of the time it was tied, and then the Sixers had 60% of the advantage in the game. So there you go. I don't care. The Sixers go into this game knowing that they're not going to have VJ Edgecombe. They don't have Kelly Oubre. Obviously, they don't have Paul George. Obviously, they don't have Joel Embiid. But they still went out there and they kept fighting in the second game of a back-to-back. Again, I don't care that it was the Jazz. I always tell you guys, no matter what sport I'm covering, if your team is depleted, I don't care. If you're or if your team is having all sorts of problems, like, you know, getting blown out by 40 points at home as the first franchise ever in the NBA to get blown out by 40-plus points in 3 home games in one season. So that was a record the Sixers set last night against the San Antonio Spurs. But tonight, with their win over the Jazz, it's just doing what they should do. I know it wasn't pretty the entire way, but they did what they should have done, which is win this basketball game. It wasn't gorgeous. It wasn't brilliant basketball. It was a gutsy performance. And the first person I'm going to mention when it comes to the gutsy performance is none other than our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Full marks to Jabari Walker, who came off the bench for the Sixers today to drop in 22 points, 7 of 12 shooting, 4 of 7 from beyond the arc, including starting out a perfect 4 for 4 in the first half. He also gets you 10 rebounds, 2 assists to boot. 7 of those boards came on the offensive glass, 7 of them came on the defensive side of things. 3 of them came on the offensive side of things. Everything about his performance tonight was gritty to help the Sixers win this basketball game. And it goes to show that no matter when you get that opportunity to get onto the court, not only do you want to put good film out there for anybody else, right? But you also want to try to establish some sort of momentum, build some kind of confidence for yourself. So in the garbage time that was the fourth quarter of the first leg of this back-to-back against the Spurs, Walker goes out there in the fourth quarter when it meant nothing to the team, but meant everything to him, and he made the most of it. He actually had the Sixers win that fourth quarter with a great performance. He carries it into this game to help the 76ers, especially in that first quarter where he helped set the tone and really grabbed a lot of attention. First off, knocked down to 3 to help give the Sixers an early 11-point lead towards the end of that half. Closing out that first quarter, you had 7 points in total. Go on to the second quarter. You see him finish with 15 points in the first half, including 4 of 4 from beyond the arc. Had a really nice lay-in on a dish from Watford through the paint in that second quarter. Things look like they were going to go Walker's way. And for the most part, they looked like they were going to go the Sixers' way until that third quarter. Wow. The Utah Jazz just put a hurting on the 76ers and started out with a 10-2 run in that third quarter. And it's the same old song and dance for the Sixers. It's the same thing that has haunted them throughout this entire year, no matter who they're playing. Even, yes, if it's the Utah Jazz, and even in a game where the Sixers have Quentin Grimes in their starting lineup, they have Trendon Watford in their starting lineup. Adem Bona is actually your starting center today. So, yeah, you're going to struggle at some point. I didn't expect for it to go on as long as it did for the Sixers in that quarter. Now, one of the saving graces of it, again, when the Sixers started to make their started to come back a little bit, not even to come back, but to kind of just reestablish order and not let the game get crazily out of hand, One of the guys to lean on again was your player of the game, Jabari Walker, came up with an offensive rebound and some second chance points to make it a 3-point game, despite the fact that the Jazz were starting to really take control of that game. So another shout out there to Jabari Walker. As far as the turning point,
time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
There's a lot of situations there in the fourth quarter you could say were the turning point. You could even say the turning point was the third quarter where the Sixers really realized they had to take this team seriously. But I'm going to give full marks here, not only to Jabari Walker for what he was able to do tonight as a guy coming off the bench, but a guy that normally comes off the bench I'm going to give full marks to as well, and that's Quentin Grimes, who, again, was in your starting lineup and had one of the biggest plays of the game, and I really felt was the turning point. And it wasn't even the slam dunk that he had through the lane that was roaring, but it was more so the putback that he had off Tyrese Maxey's miss that made it, instead of a 100-94-point game, a 6-point game there in the fourth quarter, it made it a 4-point game. It made it 100-96, and that was Grimes being Johnny on the spot with the putback after the Tyrese Maxey miss. After that, the Sixers unfortunately wasted a possession. There was a bad pass there later on from Grimes, from Watford, trying to be a little too cute. I thought that was going to be a turning point in another direction. But the Sixers, and including Andre Drummond in this, Andre Drummond did a great job. I think it was Sensabaugh trying to drive the lane on him, trying to drive baseline, rather, on him from the corner. And Drummond did a phenomenal job of sealing that off, making him turn back in, and then unfortunately have other ideas. But credit to Andre Drummond, stepped up defensively in that aspect. Walker did, Grimes did. And all in all, that one putback by Grimes really helped establish the Sixers some momentum. They weren't perfect. As a matter of fact, they were far from it. But then they were able to close out the game and close out the victory from that point on. Maxey had a great runner. I don't want to just push aside his efforts tonight. To me, when you think about Tyrese Maxey, I think about Tyrese Maxey playing the second leg of a back-to-back, having to go full tilt the way he's had to go full tilt all season long, when that is not the norm anyway, or anymore in the NBA. For a guy to be leading the league in minutes, for a guy to be leading the league like he does in distance traveled per game with like 2.7 miles, whatever it is, it's insane the amount of work this guy has put in. And now to be looking at the last month and a half of the season, and you know you don't have Joel Embiid, you know you're not going to have Paul George for still a stretch run here. And now you don't have VJ Edge come in the lineup. Maxey looked like a guy to me whose legs were shot. He dug down deep, though. Full credit to him in that fourth quarter to come up with some pretty big plays. He had a couple of runners that he knocked down, got to the foul line with good aggression, knocked down his free throws. And there was one specific play that Maxey made, and it was that runner that made it a 2-point game, 100-98 after Grimes' tip in. Sixers had a couple misplays, but good defensive stands. They go back down the other end. Maxey splits the defense, is able to have that nice little finger roll in there. It was a thing of beauty. And that pulled the game within 2. And Maxey just dug deep, man. And you got to look at those situations and say, all right, full credit to him. Because it's another night where you need him to be able to find that next gear. And do you want him to find that and have to find that next gear that late in the fourth quarter against the Jazz? Obviously not. But that's not the way this season has gone. The Sixers have lost these games plenty of times. Sixers have gotten blown out in these games plenty of times. Whether you want to talk about the Denver Nuggets, whether you want to talk about the Brooklyn Nets, the Sixers have gotten blown out in games like this. They won the game. To go back to it, it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world. It's not exactly teach tape to anyone, but they found a way to win this basketball game, and I give them full marks for that. Plus, they are coming off back-to-back losses. One more embarrassing than the other, but still back-to-back losses nonetheless, and the Sixers found a way to get back and win this basketball game. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what you saw from Jabari Walker. It should be from Jabari Walker tonight, and also you're going to see we're going to get into VJ Edgecombe's status as we found out what his status would be going into this game and see whether or not he'll be available for Saturday night's game against the Atlanta Hawks. Talk about that and more when we return. This is Locked On 76ers Postcast on the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. Like and subscribe back after this. Right now, it's time to tell you about TurboTax because 'tis the season, right? When we talk about taxes, it's tax time. But for a lot of us, the old way of doing things is it's a lot, right? Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if you're really going to get your situation straightened out. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar that you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in, meeting a real person, and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local. That's TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and to book your appointment today. And how about the Gametime app? Download the Gametime app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your first purchase. You want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show, whatever it might be, NBA arena, nothing like it. The crowd, the energy, the moment, the big moment. Grimes knocks down that follow-up on Maxey. Maxey hits that runner. Bona throws down that incredible slam. Oh, my goodness. Come on now. Gametime gives the advantage back to the fans because that's where it belongs. Pull up the Gametime app, pick the upcoming NBA game you want to go to. You can get tickets within minutes. All in pricing, by the way, so you know the price you're paying up front, so you don't get that sticker shock of, whoa, how did these $20 tickets become $40? How did that even happen? Not on the Gametime app. Great last-minute options as well for NBA tickets, concerts, comedy show. Also, you could view your seat's vantage point before you buy the tickets. So you're literally taking the guesswork out of buying tickets. So yeah, buying NBA tickets with the Gametime app, never been easier. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDON, promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. Looking at this game tonight, one of the first things that jumped out, the injury report, okay? VJ Edgecombe, a bruised lower back, a contusion. I like that it was stressed so many times that he was injured for tonight's game, and you hope to get him back on Saturday against the Hawks. He's a young guy who you cannot doubt as to whether or not he wants to play the game. The man absolutely wants to play the game. I'm sure he wanted like all hell to be out there on the court tonight against Ace Bailey and the Utah Jazz. Wasn't in the cards. He was held out of the game, didn't go. Thank goodness for that. Don't push the man. You shouldn't have needed him to beat the Jazz anyway, and as you know, it's all said and done, they didn't. It would have been a little bit easier maybe, but all in all, they were able to win without him. I hope he's ready to go come Saturday night. Still no official word on that just yet. And if the Sixers sixer this thing, which they will do because that's what they do, we won't know anything about it until Saturday leading up to the game itself. So we'll cross our fingers that it'll be ready to go. One more thing about this game before we jump to that Hawks matchup a little bit more. Just overall, I get the sense, and this is more a knock on Nick Nurse than anything, but I just get the sense that when I see a guy like Jabari Walker finally get an opportunity and then he thrives, whether that be the fourth quarter of last night's game or that be what he did throughout tonight's game, especially in the second quarter and what he was able to do to help finish out that fourth quarter as well, and really be the only guy being a consistent scorer in that third quarter, especially when George was going off for the Jazz. I get the sense from Nick Nurse that he forgets these guys exist. Like he forgot Jared McCain existed for a while. And yeah, guys got to earn minutes, but don't you also want to give those guys opportunities? Especially if they're a younger player or a more inexperienced player. You want to give them those opportunities to go out there and try to get off the schneid, try to get things going for him again, because you don't know who you're going to call on to come off the bench and help you all of a sudden. Justin Edwards hit a couple of threes in the early goings of the game against the Spurs, and it was like, oh yeah, Justin Edwards existed. And you need two other injuries for even get a chance. Jabari Walker, same type of thing. I thought he came out. I thought he played well earlier in the season. Then all of a sudden, forgotten about. The Sixers need somebody else to come into a game, get rebounds, other than Andre Drummond, other than Adem Bona, especially on nights where you're not going to have Joel Embiid. Dom Barlow, I feel like, is pretty consistent in that regard, and I get why he got the nod ahead of Jabari Walker. But it feels like this guy just gets pushed aside rather easily, and it feels like Nick Nurse pushes guys aside rather easily. It's so hard if you're not a veteran to gain favor in Nick Nurse's eyes that it's a shame. And I love seeing a guy like Jabari Walker put in good minutes in the fourth quarter against San Antonio and then get rewarded for it, and also reward the coach for giving him the opportunity with the first back-to-back 20-point performances of his career. So shout out to Jabari Walker for that. That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure you guys check out me and Keith Pompey tomorrow morning on Locked On 76ers, our daily podcast, all right here on the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. We'll be back with you guys again tomorrow morning, and then back with you guys Saturday to break it down further when it comes to their matchup against the Atlanta Hawks. That, by the way, a little bit different of a start time. That game against the Hawks is going to be a 6 o'clock tip-off. So a little bit earlier that time around. So I look forward to breaking that one down with you guys on Saturday night. Thanks for listening. That one is in Atlanta, by the way. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys tomorrow morning with Keith Pompey for Locked On 76ers. See you guys then. Bye.